Test, 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 test. Test, 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 test. Test. Thanks, Kat. You're really making this really, really awkward. You know, I think this could actually be my computer has very bad visual lag. I'm not sure. Do let me know if you can hear, if you're watching this. So, blah, 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 blah. Window, let's see. Stick some lights in. There we go, that'll do it. Cue the scene. Excellent. So, hello Chopmeister, and anyone else who's unlucky enough to come in here and see what boring things I'm up to. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly make a couple of blueprints. So, I've got a blueprints folder over here that I do all my stuff in. I'll come down here and make BP temp. So, BP temp. Okay, just so I know, and I'm not going to be, you know what I mean. Okay, so I'm going to make, first of all, a new blueprint. So, blueprint class, actor, and I'm going to call this BP actor that does a thing. Okay, because this is our actor that does a thing. And then I'm going to make a Q file. So, let's see. I'll find a Q file. Audio, blah, 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 whatever, something. Oh, I'll just stick one in here. Here we are. Actor that does a thing. Right, so. Sorry, I'm just opening it. Wow, my system is very slow today. I think it's because the cat's asleep on my desk. I'm blaming it all on you, Gia. Sorry, I promise this will only take a couple of minutes. Right, so let's say we have our Q file, or whatever we have, you know, in here, or whatever it is we want. So I'm going to add a Q file to this. I'll just come up to my audio files. I've got some cues over here, so I'll just have them on my music file ones. Here we are. Sound cue. Here we are. Background music. So I'll just drag that across and drop it over here. Okay, this is my background music thing in my blueprint. Because I don't want it to play, I'll probably have to do something like, you know, I don't know, just turn it off or whatever. Turn off enabled, whatever the hell that is. Start with tick enabled, I don't know. Hang on, if I press simulate, does it play? I can't remember. I've got COVID at the minute, so. Yep, sounds okay. Alright then, so. Basically we can have this, you know, as our blueprint, and it can have like this inside playing or whatever. So here's our BP actor that does a thing, and let's just say we have a variable in here, for example, so add variable is playing. I'll just set that to public anyway, compile and save, and on event tick, get is playing, feed that to a branch, okay, and then pop that in there. And what it's doing is basically on this tick, it'd be better putting this in a timer, but in this tick it's just going to interrogate, is this playing, right? So we've got our background music here. In fact, I don't even need to put this in because you know how to do all this shit. And what I'll do is I'll have a true message here, and I'll just put a print, okay, and in print string, you know, cast worked. Okay, so that's all we need to do. Right, now what I can do then is I can make our interactive trigger. So if I make another blueprint, and I'm just going to make a plain actor, and I'll call this BP, let me think, interact with. Okay, so with this one, let's just say we're going to walk across it. This could be your widget, so you can have this inside your widget in your widgets event graph or whatever. I'm just using a plain old, one of these for the minute. So I'm going to put my BP actor that does a thing in my scene because it needs to be referred to. So it has to be in my scene for it to be referred to like this. Okay, so I now have this actor in my scene. And now I've got my BP interact with here, so I'm going to place that in my scene as well. And for this, I'm just going to make like a collision box or something. So I'll place it over the top of this cube. Okay, so this cube's basically where I'm going to walk up to. And let's just open up my BP interact with. It is here. And I'm going to add a collision component. So here's a box collision. And I'll just increase the size of it to, let's say, 200. Okay, so it's quite large, just so that we know that we can walk over it. And if I have a look at my scene, you can see it's pretty damn large now. Okay, so what I need to do next is go to my event graph. We already have an actor begin overlap, so we'll just use that. And on this, what I'm going to do is, well, if I want to be secure, okay, if I'm just doing it where I'm stepping onto it, I'd do a cast to my character and I'd connect other character to my character, and that way it would check that it's me overlap. You don't need to do that because it's a widget. So what I'm going to do straight away on this is I'm going to cast to BP underscore actor that does a thing. Here it is here. Okay, now, actor that does a thing, I'll just delete that, obviously needs an object, otherwise it can't do anything, okay, because it doesn't know which one we want it to cast to. We could have 1,500 of these in our scene and it wouldn't know which one's which. So what we do is we come down here to variables and we add a new variable, and we're going to call this selected thing. Okay, obviously you call it whatever you want. Make it publicly visible. You don't need to make it publicly visible if you're working in a widget, but you do still need the variable in your graph. Okay. Next, under this, we'll go to actor. And all we're going to do is we're just going to choose the plain actor. Okay, so it's just an object reference. That means we're referring to an object inside our scene. Come on, cat, you can't stand up. We're referring to an object inside of our scene. So I hit compile and I hit save. Okay, so that's done. We've got actor, all that kind of good stuff here. Let's have a look. Now over here, here's where our selected thing should be. Okay, so we've got our pipette and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to find our actor in our scene. So let me see. Compile, save. You can still see there's an error there. So I'm going to drag this up here, get my selected thing and connect it to my object. Compile and save. So now it's looking for whatever that is. And then over here in my selected thing, again, you'd be doing this inside your widget. I'll just select my blueprint that exists inside of my scene. BP actor that does things. Okay, so now this is referring to that. All I can need to do now is I can go to my actor that does a thing. I just want to change this variable. Are you playing? So I'll go to set is playing. Okay, like that. Connect the two together. Do a tick. Compile and save. So now, if I click right click play from here and walk over to it, cast works. That's it. That is basically the fundamentals of all interaction inside of Unreal Engine, so it seems way more complicated than it actually is. It isn't. So basically anything can be done using that. So let's say you've got a widget, for example. Let me just go up here and grab a widget quickly. Right click. I think it's under user interface. Widget blueprint. Pick root widget for the widget blueprint. No, use a widget. Okay, then we'll call this widget because that's what it is. So what I do in this then is, let's say I've got like a button or something, so I'll just click my button and drag it into my scene. There's my huge button. Go to my graph. Let me see, I need to bind my button to something, so I always forget how to do all this kind of junk. Navigation, next one. Here we are, on clicked, beep. There we are, so on clicked, let's make a variable. Actors. Actor scene, and then we'll just go to actor and come down here and just get our actor object reference, compile, save. Here we are, actor, and it should be a public one, so that's fine. And then we can just select it from that, or you know, whatever else you want to do. Another thing you could do as well is you could use even the level blueprint. If it's inside the scene, okay, and we've got this in here, you could even interact with the level blueprint. You don't even need necessarily use the widget blueprint to do it that way. So, you know, these are various different ways that you can do this. Another way you could do it, in fact, is, and here's a good way of doing it if you want to do it across multiple levels. Let's say you've got a game mode. So if I go to open my... the hell does it? Am I in Unreal Engine 5? I can never remember. I think I'm in 4 at the minute. Content browser, here we go. So if I go over here and find my own game mode system that I'm using at the minute. So I'm currently inside the wiki, so it's, you know, it's going to be messy because the wiki's huge. Here we are, BP game mode. So if I go into here, right, this is what I would personally do if I was, you know, want to send information to and from. So as you can see, I've made some variables here, WS1, WS2, WS3. These are the standard booleans I've made inside my game mode. And then what I could also do is I could go into, sorry about this, I always forget where I put things, blueprints, so my blueprints. And I want to go to BP tests or something strange like that, I called it, you know. BP temp, that's it, because I have great naming standards. So if I go to my widget blueprint and, you know, I double click on this button, go to the graph over here, what I could do is, on clicked, I could cast to, let me see, game mode. So I think it's HE game mode or something. Oh, what's it bloody called again? Sorry about this. Go back, go back, go back. You always got to remember what your game mode's called, otherwise it gets a bit awkward. Here we are, BP horror game mode for some reason, because the game was originally a horror. So cast to BP horror game mode, right? So what I'm actually doing now is I'm casting to the main blueprint that always exists inside of my game engine. Now for the object here, I'm going to get game mode, so it's going to get the game mode that I'm currently using. So if you've got a different game mode for your, you know, your menu system, make sure that you're getting the current one. So get game mode. Here we go. Okay, so now it's got my game mode I've cast to. As horror game mode, I can then go set WS. Here we are. Set WS1. Set that to true. So I've set a flag in my game mode to true. Right. Now, once I've done that inside my widget, what I can then do is I could come over here to my BP temp, here we go to my BP actor that does a thing, and on my event tick, if I just wipe that out, cast to BP horror game mode, okay, like that. For the object, I'm going to get my game mode. There we go there. And then as BP horror game mode, I can then, you know, do whatever, because I've just received a signal. So as BP horror game mode, get WS1, I'm reading the value of it, put this into a branch. Okay, so there's my branch. If the condition of WS1 is set through my game mode, I can then do something. Okay, and this is how you get your widget to interact with things that it wouldn't normally be able to. So for example, if you want to send messages or send data from your widget, if you want your widget to save text information, you can write text information. So if you'd like to imagine, for example, our widget here, over here, set WS1, you can set anything. So I could set a text field and store data. I could do just about anything. And then over here, in my other blueprint, I can then pick up that information that your widget's got. So you can use this obviously to control audio, you could use this to control audio volume, you can make your audio stop, change your audio, do whatever you want, but it will also interact with anything else in your scene. I'll pop this up, well actually it'll be on, oh sorry, I couldn't see your text. Yeah, exactly. Use the game mode, which always exists to communicate. It's a really good way of doing it. Basically, it's like a core programming kind of fundamental, because I used to program mainframes. So when you've basically got your core system, your core variable storage, which you're using through game mode, it never changes. And the good thing about that is, even if you load a different level, your game mode will stay the same. It's persistent. So as long as your system is loaded, your variables inside game mode will always be set, even from the previous state. So if you set WS to 1 and then you load up level 2, WS1 is still going to be loaded. So obviously you'll have to remember, if you need to clear those, that you'll have to do on begin play and wipe all those back to 0 again. So hopefully that will explain kind of some concepts there, because I know I found this very, very difficult myself.